Good morning, everyone. This is Michelle Mengqing Qian, General Manager of Electronics and Physics Business Department of SPTL. I would like to welcome everybody here today. I'm very glad to have Ms. Li Minghu here as our speaker. Ms. Hu is an experienced patent attorney. Her practicing areas include computer science-related patent prosecution, patent search and analysis, IP portfolio management, as well as IP strategic counseling. Before joining SPTL in 2007, Li Ming obtained her bachelor and master's degrees both in computer science. Today, her topic is about gaming-related patents in China. Okay, now I'd like to hand over to Li Ming for her to start her presentation. Li Ming, please.
Well, thank you, Mengqing, for the introduction. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to the webinar hosted by SPTL. I'm Li Ming. Today's webinar will guide you through the practice related to gaming patents in China. Through these 4 parts, we'll introduce IP protection ways of game products in China and how to better protect game products when drafting patent applications. First of all, let's have a look at summary of IP protection for gaming products. As we all know, talking about a game product, there could be a lot of elements with different types in it. For example, game title, game logo, game interface design, game music, game code, game equipment, game rules, and so on. So, due to the complexity of game products, so far, game products cannot be protected all around by only one law. Therefore, when protecting game products via IP methods, it is necessary to cooperate with copyright law, patent law, trademark law, and anti-unfair competition law to protect games from different angles. Generally speaking, copyright law protects the outside of games, and patent law protects the inside of the games. Trademark law protects the name of games, and anti-unfair competition law protects the commercial secrets of the games. Among these laws, currently in China, the use of copyright to protect IP of game products is the most common case, and it is also the main cause of action in China's current cases involving game products infringements. Based on the 2021 edition of the White Paper on Infringement Litigation in China's online game industry, it was found that the number of cases of game software code infringement have increased significantly. So, I will give you a brief introduction to the protection of software through copyright in China. As for game products, they are mainly realized by computer software. So it can say that game products belong to the work type of computer software and is of course protected by copyright law. And you may ask, after I finish writing codes of a game, how to obtain software copyright? In China, copyright is generated from the date when the work is accomplished. So you can get the software copyright automatically when the software code is finished. As to software copyright, the object can be protected is computer software, which refers to computer programs and the related documents. Computer programs is very easy to understand, such as coded instructions, which are written for the purpose of obtaining a certain result, and which may be run by devices with information processing capabilities. Related documents refer to literary data and charts used to describe the contents, design, function notes, state of development, test results, and the method of use, such as program design specifications, flow charts, and the user's manuals. So another question is that in China, since the copyright in software can be obtained automatically, why we need to register the software copyright? There could be following reasons. The first one is that after you finish the registration procedure of the software, you may get a software copyright certificate. In the event of software infringement, such a certificate is a very powerful proof document. If the software copyright is not registered, it will be difficult for the right holders to prove the time of completion of the software and ownership of the software. And the second reason that before the game goes online or before the game gets published to the public, the platforms or the channels often require corresponding software copyright certificates to avoid potential infringement risks. And the third reason is that, like trademarks and patents, software copyrights are also assets of companies, which might be useful from the business view. Although we talked some good points of software copyright protection, however, when defending rights, software copyright will encounter some difficulties, such as when go to the court, some plaintiffs will claim that the defendant infringes the copyright of their game software when suing. But for the sake of trade secrets, they refuse to provide their own game source code to the court. And then the defendant may also refuse to provide the source code of alleged infringement. So it is very difficult to carry out comparative appraisal. As a result, the court could only reject the plaintiff's claim. And the second one is that the period of source code comparative appraisal is very long, and the appraisal cost can be expensive, which is difficult for many small and medium-sized game companies to afford. And the third reason is that even if the plaintiff makes the claim, the defendant can obtain a defense through reverse engineering to constitute fair use. And the last one is, during the development of accused game, it is often designed by replacing some comments compared to the plaintiff's software. So, even if software registration is kind of easy to obtain, the protection is not easy, and the strength of the protection is not very strong. At present, we can say that the copy or the imitation of game products mainly focuses on two aspects. One is the simple and direct imitation of the game characters and interfaces. And the other one is the imitation of the rules of the game, which is what we often call reskinning of the game. However, we often say that game rules are the core of the game, and the success of the game is very related to the game rules or the gameplay, which is also the place where game developers put the most effort. Since the protection of software and the copyright should not be extended to such as ideas, handling processes, operating methods used in software development. In recent years, more and more game companies choose to protect the game rules by drafting them into invention patents. Now, let's take a look about introduction of patentability of gaming products. As you may know, in China, invention means a new technical solution relating to a product, a process, or improvement thereof. Besides, in China, rules of the game belong to rules and methods of mental activities. The rules and methods of mental activities are those that guide people to think, express, judge, and remember. So, a game rule does not adopt technical means or natural laws, and it does not solve technical problems and produce technical effects. It does not constitute a technical solution, and eventually is not an object matter protected by the patent law. For example, based on the guidelines for examination in China, an invention application relating to computer programs is the subject matter of patent protection only if it constitutes a technical solution. Then, regarding technical solutions, it mainly covers three aspects: technical problems, technical means, and technical effects. Therefore, in practice, it is necessary to combine technical problems, technical means, and technical effects, and package the game rule into a technical solution in order to obtain protection by an invention. Now, let's see an example which relates to a game rule. Such a game rule is widely used in a lot of game products. Its main idea is that players control the characters of the game, and by killing opponents control the characters, the players get gold coins for buying equipment, and they also can get experience values for upgrading. And finally, they can win by destroying a certain number of the opponent's controlled characters. The above game rule can be realized by computer, and the computer processing process is roughly as defined in Claim 1. So, does Claim 1 can be regarded as a technical solution? It can be seen that the problem to be solved in this solution is how to change the status of the game character according to people's subjective view, which does not constitute a technical problem. The method adopted is to change the status of the character according to artificially formulated rules, not technical means. And the effect obtained is only to manage and control the process of the game character, not a technical effect. Therefore, this solution does not constitute a technical solution and does not belong to the subject matter of patent protection. And let's see another case. Currently, it is difficult for game players to reach, for example, predetermined target point marked by themselves or marked by teammates through manual operation. In short, there is a need to develop a method to make it easier and more accurate for the game characters to land at the target points. The solution in Claim 1 can make the characters automatically land in the game. In the game interface shown above, button 20 can realize automatic landing flight. The solution in Claim 1 is used for controlling the landing behavior of the game role in a game scene. And you can see that the method comprises the following steps: determine a target position for landing, obtaining the real-time position of the game role. During the landing process, determine the real-time flight strategy according to the target location and the real-time position. And according to the real-time flight strategy, automatically controlling the game role to carry out landing. So, does this Claim 1 can be regarded as a technical solution? Regarding this solution, it is not a preset rule for the players to control the character from point A to point B during landing, but the player has a need to move the character from point A to point B. The technical problem is when the player controls the character is unable or difficult to reach point B from point A, which affects the player's gaming experience. Furthermore, the solution in Claim 1 is provided to solve the difficulty for players to move the character from point A to point B, achieving the technical effect of reducing the need for manual operation by the user, having a high degree of automation, and improving the convenience of the game. So yes, this solution is a technical solution. and can be protected by patent. Now, based on the above two cases, it can be seen that drafting the application in a suitable way plays a very important role during the prosecution of game-related applications. Now, let's move on and talk about strategies of patent applications for gaming products in China. There are 2 points worth noting when drafting a patent application for games. From the perspective of protecting the object, drafting technical problems in a suitable way will reduce the risk of the solution not being considered as a technical solution. And from the perspective of infringement evidence collection, drafting the game process obviously will make the evidence collection process more convenient. First, let's discuss how to find technical problems. Suitable and skillful packaging can make the solution more of a technology rather than an artificial method or mental activity. Although what we want to protect is a skill mode or game rule, substantially, we are protecting a control method based on computer programs. In order to reasonably package the game rules into a technical solution, we may first go through the technical composition of the game field. By studying the report on global patent application trends of electronic games published by the Japan Patent Office in 2019, we can find that the key technologies of games mainly include input technology, processing technology, communication technology, storage technology, and output technology. Focusing on patent applications for these technologies, we can summarize them as the applications related to game hardware devices, the applications related to game rules or gameplay, and the applications related to game system architecture. First of all, as mentioned above, the technical solutions should be able to solve technical problems first. And it is very important to find or to explore technical problems when drafting. It can be considered whether there are certain defects in some operations or processing during the operation of the game. And based on the defects, technical problems can be deduced. Generally speaking, in the field of the game products, the technical problems can be as, for example, whether there are some defects that affect the game experience and cause tedious operation in the current human operation process. Such kind of defects can be translated into technical problems about, such as how to improve degree of automation, how to improve convenience of gaming, how to simplify operation and save operation time, and so on. Another kind of defects can be as, in the process of game running, whether there are some problems such as low efficiency and the poor effect of data interaction, data storage, and data processing. Such kind of defects can be translated into technical problems about how to reduce the space needed to store data and how to improve the efficiency of real-time data processing, and such as how to improve the rendering quality of images. Furthermore, another kind of defects can be asked whether there are some defects in the game-related hardware structures. And such kind of defects can be translated into technical problems about how to reduce the size of the equipment and how to improve the battery capacity of the equipment, and so on, which is related to the hardware. Now, next, let's look at the non-technical solution case just mentioned before. As mentioned, the idea of this case is a game rule. That is, let's see, changing the level, skills, or environment of the game characters through the artificially formulated game rules. Then, we can look for technical problems when using the rules of the game again, so as to integrate the rules of the game into the technical problems mentioned before. Now we can find that may be such as improving the convenience of user. For example, we can say that currently, if a user completes a certain task, he can be promoted to update the role and equipment of the game character. But this way requires the user to make a manual selection, which might be inconvenient. So let's amend the initial claim 1 on the left to a new claim 1 on the right. The amended solution can track the user's actions and compare the stored action data with a predetermined data so as to automatically update the level and equipment of the game characters and run them then directly to the user. Therefore, the amended Claim 1 solves the technical problems of how to automatically update the level and equipment of the game character when the game character completes a certain task without the manual intervention of the user. In this way, the amended Claim 1 adopts technical means, solves technical problems, realizes technical effects, and constitutes a technical solution. Now, let's talk about obvious. For a high-quality patent, there are 2 points should be noticed. The first one is that, is it easier to find evidence of infringement in an infringement lawsuit? And the second one is that, in infringement litigation, whether it can be easily understood by judges. For the technical improvements involved in patent applications in the game field, more and more products are designed to be front-end, such as simplifying human-computer interaction and enriching interface display content. Which is to say, when drafting the application related to game products, whether the solution can be obviously determined is becoming more and more important. For example, these 3 pictures describe a same game product from different angles. The leftmost picture is a representation of the front-end display to the user. It can be seen that through the operation of the joystick, a comment can be obtained so that the virtual object 1 can be controlled to make an action such as attacking the virtual object 2. The medium picture describes the back-end technology that supports this gaming solution. In the process of realizing the game product, it is necessary to receive human-computer interaction comments through the user interface and catch them into the memory and request the game resources corresponding to the above-mentioned virtual objects from the server through the network interface. After processing, dynamic pictures of the above-mentioned virtual object performing some actions are rendered on the display. The rightmost picture describes the algorithm code implementation of the game product. As we mentioned before, the program code can be protected by software copyright. So below, we mainly discuss the front end and the back end points. The drafting method A is drafted based on background process. Although the above drafting method A can reflect the background process, it might be difficult for judges to understand, such as what is the definition of touch control in the process of infringement comparison. In addition, it is difficult to collect corresponding infringement evidence for such as activating the virtual object and controlling the virtual object to perform an action. Thus, the patent application drafted according to drafting method A may be difficult to be realized in litigation. Let's take a look at drafting method B, which is drafted from foreground. Such a drafting method is drafted from the perspective of product through product interaction operations and the interface display content. Here, drafting method B is easier to understand. You can easily understand the content of the solution without having to determine how to activate the virtual object and how to control the virtual object to perform actions. In addition, drafting method B is also easy to compare during the infringement lawsuit. For example, when the infringing object covers the following features, such as obtaining activation comments, displaying virtual objects, obtaining operation comments, displaying sync screens of actions, infringement can be easily determined. Therefore, for game patent applications, in order to avoid possible evidence collection issues, we should not neglect to draft claims covering the front-end contents. And at the same time, when drafting the description, you can include both front-end and back-end embodiments to have more possibilities for modifications during the subsequent examination procedure. Now, here is the conclusion. It can be seen from the chart that in the past 5 years, China's patent applications for games have risen to the second place in the world, very close to the United States. As the Chinese game market grows, game companies will pay more attention to protecting the rights of game products by multiple ways. For example, in current practice, cases involving online game patents are generally related to game hardware equipment, design, and other related patents, while cases involving game system architecture and game rules are less. It should be noted that under the current trend of development of online games, technical solutions involving game system architecture and game rules will become the core of competition in the field of online games in the future, and their patented technical solutions may also become a powerful weapon in the business field. In addition, game companies will also pay more attention to the registration of software copyrights, making it more convenient and efficient to exercise their copyright rights. So, that's all for today's presentation. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you, Li Ming. Now let's move on to some Q&A. Let's see what kind of questions do we have. Okay, we have several questions here. The first question is from Mr. Simon Wilson. His question is, if the software copyright is registered first, will it affect the novelty of subsequent patent applications?
Okay, thank you for asking. And first of all, in practice, after the functional design of the game is completed, the patent application can be filed without waiting for all the program codes to be written. So therefore, generally speaking, patent application is filed before software copyright registration. And secondly, software copyright registration does not need to open source code, so which will not constitute prior art, which is to say, even if the software copyright is registered first, the novelty of the subsequent patent application will not be affected. That's my answer. Thank you.
Okay, and let's look at the second question. It is from Miss Miranda Davis. She asks, can a game interface be protected by design patent?
Thank you for asking. And basically in China, the GUI that can be protected by a design patent should be related to human-computer interaction or realization of functions. Based on the guidelines for examinations in China, the game interface is not an object can be protected by design patents. But as we all know, there are two kinds of elements in the game interface. The first kind of element has nothing to do with user operation or human-computer interaction, but it's just the presentation of game content, such as some fancy effects of a character fighting or shining, the map in the game, and so on. For such kind of elements, if they are original, they can be regarded as artworks, and which can be protected by copyright, but cannot be protected by design patents. And the second kind of element is related to user operations. For example, the controls for controlling the game character's operations, such as buttons, icons, menus, and so on. For these controls, and after removing artworks from the game interface, such as after removing the game background from the game interface, it is possible to protect them by design patent. Yeah, that's my answer. Thank you. Hello, Meng Qing.